And welcome, everybody. This is the Appraiser Coach Podcast. My name is Dustin Harris. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to be with you today for another Appraiser Stories. Want to remind you that we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP should be your next E&O insurance provider. Go to orep.org to find out more. We're also sponsored by DataMaster. Right now, you can do a 2-week trial, folks, unlimited. Go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. Again, it's datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. And finally, we're sponsored by Alamode Software, the software that I use for my appraisal reports. You can try them for 15 days. Go to alamode.com/freetrial, or you can call them at 800-ALAMODE. Well, folks, like I mentioned, we do have another Appraiser Stories for you today. I'm so grateful to people reach out to me. They're willing to kind of be vulnerable, if you will, and lay themselves out there to bear. I really appreciate that. Joe Kavanagh reached out to me just a couple weeks ago on the email and said, you know what, this whole Appraiser Stories things, I think I could do that. So, Joe, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Dustin.
Super good having you. Tell us where you hail from, my friend.
Well, I was born in Dublin, Ireland.
Oh, really?
And
I kind of hear that now.
Well, see, okay, hold on a minute. Everybody says that, but I was only 7 months old.
All right. No, but the way you said that, come on, man.
Yeah.
You've either practiced that or you picked up something.
I think it comes back when I think about it, but they booted me out. They had enough hooligans over there.
Gotcha.
And shipped me off to Massachusetts, and I grew up in County Boston.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what I'm hearing. It's not Ireland, it's the Boston accent.
It's the Boston accent,
yeah.
Yep. And then grew up there, moved to Maine, and got into real estate up in Maine. Lived up there for 9 years, and then moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and thought I'd give it a year and see how I like it.
Let me guess, you're still there.
And that was 23 years ago.
I love it, my friend.
So far, so good.
So the real estate side of things, I'm curious. So you're in Massachusetts. You said, I got into the real estate thing. What does that mean exactly? How did you fall into that trap?
Well, when we moved to Maine, we bought a campground. And we bought it through a realtor up there, a Century 21 broker. And a few years later, we decided that wasn't for us, so we wanted to sell it. And we negotiated the sale ourselves. And the broker approached me, and she says, look, you obviously have a talent for real estate, so come work for me.
Wow.
So I ended up doing that. And, of course, we went into a recession, couldn't sell anything. I knew an appraisal company owner at the time, and a refi boom came along. And he said, Joe, I could use the experience of a realtor, so would you care to do some work for me? And nice. I said, sure. So in 1989, I went and took my week of classes and got my license. And been doing it ever since.
Holy
Never looked
cow,
back.
1989, that's a pivotal year. That was the year before USPAP, wasn't it?
Yes, and when that came out, I'm like, what is this Greek all about?
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Well, cool.
Yeah.
So you find yourself in real estate. So are you still a broker as well?
Yes, I actually was a broker up there. When I moved to South Carolina, I didn't pursue that, and I can't recall the reason why. But a few years later, I was flipping some properties and paying all this money to my agent who was helping me find properties. And I looked it up one year, and I'm thinking, all this money I gave her, I could apply for my license. So funny story is, I decided to take all the classes and at the same time send in my application to the state. And when the state saw all my experience flipping houses, they said, we can give you credit for that. You didn't need to go through all this.
Really?
Yeah. So I got a GE, basically, and got my broker's license in 2003, I believe it was.
Wow.
So I've been doing both ever since.
So are you active as a broker then? You're doing both appraisal side and the broker side?
I'll be honest with you. I'm only, on the broker side, it's only whatever falls into my lap.
Gotcha. Not pursuing it real strong.
No, but that's one of the things I'm going to change this year.
Is that right? Interesting.
Yeah. That's one of my goals.
Okay, well, let's talk about your current situation then. Your appraisal office, are you residential, commercial, both? What kind of volume are you doing, and what's the makeup there in your office?
Yeah, strictly residential. Up until the crash, I had a big office going with 8 appraisers and an office staff, and that all came tumbling down, as I think it did for most.
For most,
and
yep.
Now I work out of my home and love it, except I don't like being the only person working.
Bingo.
Because if I take a vacation, I'm losing money.
You shut down. Yep, I hear you.
It used to be I could go on a vacation and still make money.
Yep, exactly right. It's the difference between the doctor working a private practice by himself and having 2 or 3 other doctors in the office and being able to bounce off of each other.
Sure.
You keeping busy?
Yes, and matter of fact, another one of my goals is try to take on an apprentice this year, because I finally realized, I'm very stubborn Irish, finally realized that I could be making some money if I had other people working for me.
Yeah, that 7 months in Ireland really rubbed off on you.
Oh, yes. Yes, it did. And I've been back several times, and of course, a lot of people will agree with this. I've kissed the Blarney Stone not once, but twice. So I can really baffle you when I need to.
That tells a story right there. So tell me a little bit about your area. You know, as we do these appraiser stories interviews, I find that the comments often have to do with individuals looking at other people's geographic area and the uniqueness of their situation, saying, "Man, I just didn't realize how different appraising can be in certain parts of the world." So tell me about your neck of the woods and what makes it unique, Joe.
Yeah, and first of all, I can relate to your neck of the woods, because when I was up in Maine cutting my teeth, I can remember wearing snowshoes measuring a house.
You've seen that video.
Oh, no, I've done that. I've actually
go.
done that on 4 feet of snow, and you can reach the roof.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, been there just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Charleston, South Carolina is such a beautiful city. Last 4 years in a row, Condé Nast magazine has voted it the #1 city in the world.
Really?
And I hate to open the floodgates, but I am in real estate, so I got to get that plug in.
Well, if I didn't love Idaho so much, I might take you up on that, but I think I'll stay here.
Yeah, I don't. There's good and bad in wherever you go, but it's a beautiful city. We've got outdoor, gorgeous weather most of the year, and great array of properties. Anything from starter homes to multi-million-dollar oceanfront mansions.
Okay.
And I found a niche here shortly after I got here, kind of fell into it, where most appraisers were afraid of these multi-million-dollar homes.
Right.
And to me, especially in downtown Charleston, it's about the oldest city in America with the oldest housing stock, next to maybe Boston area.
Uh-huh.
And I grew up in these old homes, so to me they were nothing. And I met numerous appraisers that they were just afraid to touch these homes. So I saw that, and I said, well, I'm going to put myself out as an expert on these homes, and it worked. So I do specialize in multi-million-dollar properties these days. We have an island here called Kiowa Island, which is very exclusive, internationally marketed, and I get a lot of referral work down there from their agents. And so I take that as a good feather in my cap, and it's nice to be out there on the ocean appraising properties, getting paid to look at these fantastic homes.
And you know what? I feel the same way. You know, I work in an area that's very similar, not oceanfront, but very high-end properties, and it's actually fun. It's a challenge on one side, but it's an interesting side of the work as well.
Oh, I love it. It's such a tremendous. Some days you get up, you just can't wait to go to work.
Love it, love it. So let's, 1989. That's a few years, my friend. You've been doing this long enough to think you probably have a disturbing or scary encounter that you've had over the years of being an appraiser. I'd love for you to share something like that with us.
Yeah, I've got too many to probably list, but probably the scariest one, because I was alone when this happened. I was up in Maine, and it was the middle of the winter, and I was doing a lakefront cottage, seasonal cottage. And the road wasn't even plowed. I had to walk maybe a half a mile down to the property. And when I was walking around the yard, I was going out towards the lake to get a picture of the rear of the home. And all of a sudden, the ground gave out from under me. And I had no idea what was happening. And I just put out my arms in a flailing type motion.
Wow.
And fortunately, my arms caught me. I was in a well.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, the piece of plywood that was covering it was obviously rotted. And with the snow and the wind drifting, as you understand, you couldn't tell where this was. Everything was smooth. So I'm just walking along, and all of a sudden, plunk, there you go. And my feet are in water, and I'm holding on by my armpits, and they were sore, I'll tell you that.
I can imagine.
But I scrambled out of there, and I had to think, wow, that was close.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Because I know those wells are deep. They can be 20, 30 feet deep sometimes.
Well, in our area, they can be 100+ feet deep. So,
yeah, so, 30's enough to do you in.
Absolutely.
100 would really do it.
Absolutely.
And then a couple of quick other ones, if I've got time.
Please.
Is I was out taking comp pictures one day. I went into a cul-de-sac, took a photo, came around and stopped at the fake mouth of the cul-de-sac and was looking at the directions for my next home. And I hear this banging on the trunk of my car. And I had no idea what it was. It scared the heck out of me. And this guy all of a sudden is at my window, and he's like a mad dog ready to take a bite out of me. So I cracked down the window, and I says, "Can I help you?" And he says, "You just take a picture of that house?"
Uh-oh.
I says, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Who are you? Are you a private detective?" And I'm like, "No, sir, I'm an appraiser." And I hand him a card through the crack in the window. He says, "Oh, because I'm going through a divorce, and I thought you were a private detective."
Oh, no.
And then the last one, I did have a detective show up at my house one morning. I was out in the pouring rain trying to find a comp to take the photo of it. And it was on a semi-busy street. And I couldn't see the numbers well because of the rain. And I had to keep going back and forth by this elementary school. So probably went through it about 3 or 4 times at a very slow rate of speed.
That doesn't look suspicious.
I didn't think of it at the time. But the next morning I did. At 7 a.m. The detective bangs on my door, and here I am with my kids ready to get in the car and go to school. And he says, "Could I ask you a few questions?" And once I told him what I was doing, he says, "Okay, that makes sense." But he said quite a few parents called, and they said a suspicious vehicle just kept going back and forth.
See, the side note to this, I joke about this with my wife. I say, I can really pretty much do anything I want to do because I can always blame it on getting comp pictures.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you must have this too. I think every appraiser does. Always you're following a car down the street to get a comp photo. And just when you find that house, they pull in and get out of the car.
Oh, well, been there, done that. Yeah, and at that point, you just keep driving.
Exactly. Go around the block and come back.
That's exactly right. So on the humorous side, what funny things have happened to you?
Well, again, too many to count, but one in particular always stood out was we had this older black gentleman who we appraised a home for, and he had a nice southern accent. I loved talking to this guy in the end, but he didn't understand everything, and he couldn't understand what we did on the appraisal, and he kept asking these questions. And we said, well, according to Fannie Mae, we have to do this, and according to Fannie Mae, this is the way they want it, and according to Fannie Mae. And he finally went, "Who is this Fannie Mae? Let me talk to her."
Let me get your phone number, right? That's hilarious.
And I had the hardest time explaining to him it wasn't a lady. And then,
although some days we wish it was.
Oh, I know. I felt like giving him the police department number and say, "Here, call her."
Yeah, exactly.
Another one that happened more recently, an agent met me at a condo downtown Charleston to show it to me to do the appraisal. And he's the rental agent. He was assured nobody's home or anything. And so we go in there, and nice small place and 2-bedroom. And the bedroom doors are closed. We go in the first one, no problem. We walk into the second one, and there's a couple of college students naked.
Uh-huh.
Didn't even hear us because they were having too much fun.
Oh, boy.
And we're both just standing there with our mouths open. Sorry, we didn't know you were going to be here.
Could you move to the side while I take a picture, right?
So we just shut the door and waited a minute, and they came out, and they just said, "Go ahead and get your photo." And they never said a word to us, too. It was like they didn't even care.
Oh, you know what? The things we see in this profession are amazing, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So speaking of the profession, where do you see this profession going? Where do you see appraising maybe in the next 2 to 3 years? And where do you see yourself in your particular appraisal office? You talked about expanding a little bit.
Yes. I'm right now in negotiating with a gentleman who wants to be an appraiser. And I try to talk him out of it, and he still wants to do it. So he's been tagging.
He's been fair warned, right?
Yeah, he's been shadowing me for about 4 days now, and he loves it. So I said, okay, well, let's get your license, and we'll go from there. And, of course, I know I got to tackle the other end about getting his name on reports for credit, but we're working on that. And then since I am a broker, I also want to develop that side of it and hopefully get 3 or 4 or 5 agents working for me for a start. And if it continues to go well, I mean, there's no limit as far as I'm concerned. I love being in charge and delegating and working with people. So, yeah, the bigger I can get, the happier I am.
Good for you. That. You know, just talking to you, I can see you've got that kind of a mindset and would probably do really well in that. You said earlier that you had a pretty big operation going on before the big crash in 2010. Were you kind of the chief appraiser in that outfit?
Yeah, I trained every one of my people, and I even had a couple that came so-called pre-trained, and
Sure.
I had to untrain them and retrain them.
Exactly. Pre means un.
Oh, I'll tell you, there's some people out there that shouldn't have been trained or
Yeah.
shouldn't have been training.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
They
I
were
hear you.
form fillers.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And when one good thing that I did, I'm so thankful for it now, is over the years, we had a lot of mortgage brokers in the area, and you had to get the number. You had to get the number. And I wouldn't do it. And so I lost work because they
you and
just
me
go
both.
get somebody else that would. And I'm so thankful for that now because I have not been in any hot water, no legal issues, no nothing. And I go to bed at night and with peace on my mind, and I know I wake up the next day and I still have my license.
Man, I'll tell you that is so familiar to me, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, Joe, but I know in my area, I knew the individuals that kind of were those number hitters, and guess what? Most of them are not in business anymore.
Same here.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I think those that do it right last.
Yes, and although that is one of my big beefs these days with these AMCs especially, is they don't want quality anymore. You could take a guy that's been out there 2 months and myself with 29 years experience, and they don't care as long as you can do it cheap.
Well, with any AMC, it's similar to any other client. There's good ones and bad ones, but I hear you, man. There's there is a certain mindset amongst some of them, yea, even most of them, that you're exactly right. They want cheap and fast, and I call those clients why clients. They're why the hell am I working for you clients, and
Yes,
but there's some good ones out there as well. So I hope you're finding a few of those.
definitely. Yeah, I set my limits, and if they can meet my criteria, I work for them. If
Good for
not,
you.
I just ignore them.
Good for you. You've been in this long enough to answer this next question. Biggest failure?
Oh, that's easy. Not seeing the work drop off coming at the crash. I had a lot of rental properties at the time, and I thought, well, if business slows down, my rents can carry me through it. And, thinking it was another recession. And not thinking that, well, when that happens, the value of my property go down and nobody's renting. They're just moving back home with their parents or whatever. So that really caught me off guard big time. I'd have to say that's definitely my biggest failure.
Well, you know what? You're still around, so let's go on the flip side of that. And I don't know if this is going to be your biggest success, but what did you do to hang on through it? Because there's appraisers that didn't last through that downturn, so you did something right.
Yeah, I kind of had to just through attrition and no workload, and I just told my people, look, you might want to go find another job. I can't keep you working here. I always hired them on the premise that I work first.
Bingo.
But if I have enough work, you'll get some, and I always strive to get enough that they'd stay busy. And never had an issue with that. Everybody was very happy until the crash came. So by 2009, my lease was up for renewal. So I just said, you know what? I've got to consolidate. I'm just going to close this down and go home. And go home to work, not just go home and cry. And so I did, and I got to admit, it was so strange and it felt self-defeating at first, but it turned out to be the thing that got me through it. I kind of had to morph into another type of appraisal setup and doing the business, but I must say, at least I survived. A lot of people didn't.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Joe. And I think the key there is that you're able to and willing to morph. I think what happened to a lot of appraisers and continues to happen today, these are the appraisers I call the appraisersauruses. They live in the past. They live in the way that they've always done things, and they're not able or willing to move where the market's moving. And I think that's one of the keys there. Another key here is looking at your business and understanding what your business is. Understanding the structure, understanding the business model that you're in. Well, folks, I've been using Alamode software for over 20 years now. They've been in business over 3 decades, helping appraisers to do the very best that they possibly can. Folks, when we talk about efficiencies and we talk about technology helping us to do more with less, to work smarter rather than harder, Alamode comes to mind every time. Alamode is that company that is the leader in the software industry. Why? Because they look at daily what appraisers are doing, and they morph and they change, as Joe talked about, to be able to accomplish what needs to be done in the marketplace. Folks, if you've not tried Alamode, right now you can try them for 15 days free of charge. You just need to go to alamode.com/free trial. Once again, it's alamode.com/free trial, and you can try all their bells, all their whistles, all of the helps that Alamode gives you and why they're different than the other software companies out there. Or you can call them at 800 Alamode. Once you decide to jump on board, you get a 10-year price guarantee at $349 per year. Check them out right now. Again, alamode.com/free trial. Again, speaking of technology, folks, I've been using DataMaster for a couple of years now. They are in the process of rolling out a new DataMaster. Will be rolled out throughout this year and into next. It is amazing, but I'll tell you, the original is amazing as well. If you want to save 30 to 60 minutes per report, that's right, 30 to 60 minutes per report, you need to be using DataMaster. Why? DataMaster takes the data that you need to put in your report anyway and does it automatically for you. All you have to do is click a couple buttons and boom, it is sent to your software. It is sent to the form, and you will know that it's right because there won't be any fat finger problems. There won't be any human error there. Whatever's in the MLS, whatever's on your tax records, boom, directly into your report. Folks, if you've not tried DataMaster, you need to for 14 days free. Right now, you can go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. Once again, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. And finally, we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. I love the guys over at OREP. Call them on a regular basis. Use a lot of their benefits. Well, here's the deal. You look at any other E&O company out there, yeah, they might have a little thing here and a little thing there, maybe a little marketing ploy to get you to come on board. Folks, OREP is consistently giving you benefits that you will not get through any other source. How about discounts or even free, yes, I said free, CE credits? Yes, OREP often offers those kind of things, webinars, learning helps, discounts on office supplies and different things like that. Yeah, that's right. Folks, check them out. If you have not recently, need to go to orep.org. Just click on the benefits tab and you will be blown away on what you can receive. Plus, folks, here's a big one. Every time that I have renewed with OREP Insurance, I have seen a discount over what I was paying previously. You've got to check them out. orep.org. That's OREP.org. And welcome back, everybody. Another Appraiser Stories for you. Got on the line Mr. Joe Kavanagh from the East Coast. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you, Dustin.
Super good to have you. I've really enjoyed your story so far and enjoyed your story in the sense that you've been doing this a long time, since 1989. Give us one helpful tip to other appraisers, your fellow peers across the nation. What could you tell them that would help them to be better?
You know, I thought about this for a while, and to be honest with you, I think it would be the tip that I applied and helped me be successful is to have integrity, to be honest. Admit when you're wrong, and don't have the attitude, I know what I'm doing, I'm always right, which I hear a lot.
And we don't say that, but we think it, right?
Well, I hear it from realtors when they say, oh, we had this VA appraiser, and he isn't even going to listen to us and all this. And I'm like, well, you don't have to change it, but just have a heart and listen to them. Nice. Hear their side and hear them out. And then probably the last bit of that is ignore the naysayers, because misery loves company, and people don't want to see you succeed better than them. So they'll say things to hold you back sometimes. That happened to me.
I will say that, Joe, not to interrupt you here, but just to add to what you're saying, and I'll flip it back to you to finish off what you were saying there. But, that is probably the number one comment that I get on this podcast and other things that I do, is that this listening audience is made up of individuals who are forward thinking, who are positive about the profession, where we are in a pool, if you will, of many appraisers who are not of that mindset. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back, that was the thing that probably propelled me quite a bit was, people say you can't do it. And it kind of gave me the resolve to do it, just to spite them. I love it. Use that stubborn Irish bit on me. So don't tell me I can't do it.
Because watch me, right?
Yes.
Excellent tips.
Yep.
So let's hit the lightning round as we wrap up here, my friend. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay, just a sentence or two on each of these, inside out or outside in?
Outside in.
Tape, roller, or laser?
Laser.
Good for you. Which one?
Oh, I'm using the cheap Bosch one.
That's all right. Is it working?
Yeah. It works great. Eats the batteries, but it works great.
All right. Tablet, computer, or clipboard and pen?
Tablet, computer using the i4 Mini, and I love it.
Really nice, nice. I found that to be a great setup as well. Appraisal software.
A la mode all the way. And I must say this, I used to be with United Systems.
Okay.
And if you recall, when they closed, they had just collected our annual fees and then shut the doors.
That was good of them.
And I forget the gentleman's name that owns a la mode, but he got wind of it, and he called everybody that had been on United, and he gave me a year free.
Nice.
Set me up for the first year free, so I'll always be faithful to them.
Those fees didn't go to the toilet then. Nice.
No, I thought that was great business.
Favorite thing to do when you're not appraising?
Well, I do. I play music in different bands. I play an accordion, which is different.
Yes.
But I do it in a rock band, and I do it in some other bands.
Accordion in a rock band.
Yes.
That's exactly what I think of when I think of rock bands.
So does, yeah, exactly. Do Irish bands. So we do the Irish,
Nice.
Irish rap and all that.
Very cool.
I've gotten into yoga. I really like that. Play tennis. Like to ride my bike. Anything outdoors, athletic, I'm into.
Love it, love it. What speed do you listen to the Appraiser Coach podcast on?
I don't even know. I guess I link it through my email because I listen to it while I'm working.
Okay, so probably speed number 1 or normal is what some people say.
Yeah, which is fine with me. I mean,
and one goal for this year. You talked a little bit about a trainee. Is that your goal?
Expand my business is what I came up with, and work on getting some private clients versus get off these AMCs as much as I can. And lastly, get the real estate side going, get some agents working for me, and get out there and do some work.
Great goals, my friend. This has been a pleasure talking to you, Joe. I really appreciate you reaching out. How tough was this?
It was a lot easier than I thought, Dustin.
Most people say that. They're a little bit scared, and I'm fearful. There's a lot of appraisers that had the thought, you know what, maybe I should be on the Appraiser Coach podcast, and I should tell my story, but then they get held back by thinking, it's going to be too difficult. So I'm glad to hear it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, and I spent maybe a couple hours, to be honest with you, prepping for this and writing notes and everything. And, I mean, I guess the prep helped because then I just sat here and kind of winged it, and it was fine.
Well, the bottom line is you present yourself well, and this is just a conversation, right?
Oh yeah, it's really no big deal at all. I mean, and it's nice. I'll tell you why I did it too, because I started hearing stories of different appraisers and realized, heck, we're all the same.
Yeah.
I used to think I was the only one with these certain issues or problems or whatever came up. And turns out everybody's the same no matter what part of the country you're in. So.
Well, Joe Kavanagh, I appreciate you spending time with us. And speaking of problems, folks, one thing that I hear quite often is appraisers talking about the problem they have in supporting their adjustments. One tool, and it's just a tool of many, but one tool that you can be using is regression. And I often get asked, well, what kind of regression software do you use, Dustin? The answer to that is it's a little program. You might have heard of it. Microsoft makes it. It's called Excel. That's what I use for my regression. And if you want to know how I use regression or how I use Excel to use regression, please check out the regression webinar that's on my website right now with Joshua Wallet. $59 for 2 different 90-minute webinars, folks, taking you through how to use Excel, no other program, just Excel to use regression in your reports. You'll be amazed at how easy it is, how simple it is to help support your adjustments. Check it out right now. Again, Joe, thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for being on. Thank you to each of you folks who listen, and would love to have you reach out to me. Just send me an email, as Joe did, thecoach@theappraisercoach.com, and just say, hey, I'm thinking about this whole Appraiser Stories thing. Maybe I ought to give it a shot. And I'll tell you what, I'll make you this deal. If you reach out to me and we record and you think, holy smokes, I do not want that to air, you know what? No harm, no foul, no questions asked. We'll delete it and move on. So nothing to fear, folks. Reach out to me. Would love to have you. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.